A Venezuelan migrant who was sent to El Salvador's notorious CICOT is taking the first step to sue the United States for what he says was his wrongful detention, telling reporters, quote, "I want to clear my name." New reporting this week also sheds light on the horrific conditions that he and the more than 200 other deported migrants endured over the course of 4 months. 3 ex-detainees told the Washington Post that they were repeatedly beaten, denied access to lawyers. They were also shot with rubber pellets and medically neglected. Abuses against migrants are also happening here on American soil. A new report alleges that detainees in a Miami detention center were shackled with their hands tied behind their backs and made to kneel and eat food like dogs. And here's new video out of New York showing the unsanitary conditions inside a holding cell for migrants. These men are seen lying in a crowded room on the bare floor, often locked up after coming in for routine hearings or during immigration appointments. Joining us now is Murad Awadeh, president and CEO of the New York Immigration Coalition. His group obtained that video that you just saw there. Murad, thank you for being with us. You have spent time and seen this facility in New York. Can you just talk a little bit about the frustration that some of the family members experience around people who are showing up for hearings and procedures that they're obligated to attend and then ending up in these sorts of places that are literally not suitable for animals, let alone human beings?
Yeah, absolutely. And first, thank you guys for having me on the show today. I think what we're seeing at 26 Federal Plaza, which is an administrative building, is the Trump administration using the immigration court system as a way in which they're trapping people and then detaining and disappearing them. 26 Federal Plaza is an administrative building, but they're using it as a detention facility. The video footage you just showed earlier illustrates what we have been hearing for the past 2 or 3 months from people who are going in there and saying they're keeping us here for days and weeks, and we're not getting any food, we're not getting access to our lawyers, our family members, and the only way we find out is once they're transferred from there to a different facility, are they then able to share their stories. So what we're seeing is the Trump administration truly using the immigration justice system as a way in which where people are going for safety and justice instead of being faced with injustice.
Murad, if America eventually gets its mind back, do these people have legal recourse? I mean, we're seeing some lawsuits already. It strikes me that some of these people where they've been disappeared for months and people don't know where they are, I mean, you would think they would have enormous lawsuits. I mean, who do they sue and what does that look like?
Well, I think first things first is really giving people justice immediately, making sure that people who should not be detained, like every single person who's being detained at 26 Federal Plaza, following the process that has been outlined by the U.S. government to attain immigration relief and then being tricked, trapped, detained, disappeared. That needs to stop immediately. So while the video footage is like horrendous, it really isn't about the detention. It's that these people should not be there to begin with. The legal recourse that should happen is ensuring that people are released and allowed to go through their process, that they have the right to due process, and then at the same time ensuring that if there were violations to their rights, that the U.S. government is held accountable for that.
Because these were civil violations until 6 months ago.
They still are. So immigration, and I think many people don't understand this, is that immigration acts are violations that are civil, not criminal.
Right.
So when people are saying that some people are, committing criminal acts in the immigration system, that's not a thing.
Well, it's confusing to them because messaging from our own DHS would have you believe that it is a criminal act to do so. I'm curious if you can give us some of the history here as well and just a sense of how rapidly things have shifted in the 6 months Molly just mentioned. Because ICE has long had rules about how long someone can be in a kind of temporary detention center. They have violated those rules in the past, not for the first time under the Trump administration. And then they have very, significant regulations about how people can be held, what those conditions are supposed to look like. So can you give us sort of the lay of the land, what it has supposed to look like, I guess, in this country, and what is shifting under the Trump administration in terms of what's acceptable and what's becoming routine around the country now?
So since Donald Trump came in nearly 6 months ago, what we've seen the Trump administration do is enact over 300 anti-immigrant executive orders, policies, and actions. And through that, now it's financed because the big ugly bill provides the Department of Homeland Security $170 billion to wreak havoc, even more so than what we're seeing. So the Trump administration is also saying that they are going to stop giving people bond in immigration proceedings. So they want people to languish in detention as long as their immigration case moves forward. And that can take years. And it's set up intentionally to be cruel so that people sign away their rights and just self-deport.
But isn't all of this money coming so quickly going to be just great thing for all of the contractors that are going, the big business of incarceration essentially has just gotten a turbocharge, and those entities are donors to a lot of the politicians in power.
Yeah, and we're going to see the proliferation of private detention facilities, which the vast majority of detention facilities within the immigration system are privately run. So the GEO Group, Core Civic, all these groups are going to be making an enormous amount of more money on the backs of people suffering.
Right, really quickly, can you just sort of talk about the significance of who is the face of the migrants that are in these facilities and why that matters in terms of public sympathy or lack thereof, and the overall narrative that this administration seems to be advancing?
So the vast majority of people who are going into 26 Federal Plaza and the other two courthouses across New York City are people who have filed immigration relief applications. These are people who are literally, the other side likes to say, do it the right way. These specific people are doing it to the letter of the law and still being tricked, trapped, detained, and disappeared. These are fathers, mothers, sons and daughters. We have Dylan Lopez Contreras, a New York City high school student, for in the most gut-wrenching way, was snatched in front of his mother from his court hearing. And he is still detained right now in Pennsylvania. And thankfully, we have an amazing set of legal service providers here in the city of New York, and the New York Legal Assistance Group is fighting for his release right now. But we need to see Dylan and every Dylan thereafter be released immediately.